Hey guys, welcome back. Tonight, we're not just traveling to ancient Egypt, we're descending beneath its oldest guardian. For thousands of years, the Great Sphinx has watched over the sands of Giza. But what if the real mystery isn't in its eyes, it's buried beneath its paws? From the whispers of lost civilizations and forbidden discoveries, to the unsealed echoes of the Hall of Records, this is the story of what scientists found hidden under the Sphinx and why no one is allowed to dig deeper. You'll hear the forgotten timeline of Earth's first builders, the rain that once carved stone, and the secrets that Egypt still guards in silence. So before you get comfortable, take a gentle moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if these deep sleep history stories help you find peace, sleep better, or simply reflect on our shared journey through time. Now, close your eyes, breathe with the desert wind, and let the sands of history whisper you to sleep.
The Sphinx has watched the desert for so long that even time itself seems to have forgotten when it began. Beneath the golden haze of the Giza plateau, this colossal guardian has stared eastward for thousands of years, through storms, dynasties, and the silent drift of sand. Most textbooks tell us it was built around 2500 BC, carved during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, the same ruler who built one of the Great Pyramids behind it. That's the story you'll find in museums, clean, elegant, and easy to accept. But as with many ancient mysteries, the closer we look, the more the truth begins to blur. Some scientists now believe the Sphinx could be far older, perhaps 7,000 years older than we've been taught. What if this monument predates Egypt itself? Imagine the desert once lush, rain falling over Giza, rivers winding between green hills where sand now reigns. This is not fantasy. It's the landscape scientists like Dr. Robert Schoch described when he studied the weathering on the Sphinx's body. The patterns of erosion, rounded grooves, soft vertical channels, don't match the work of mere wind and sand. They look like something carved by water, by centuries of rain. And that changes everything. Because if water once fell like that upon the Sphinx, then this monument must come from a time when Egypt was not a desert, but a garden. The thought alone humbles the imagination. You can almost hear the whispers of that forgotten world, the chirping of unseen birds, the rustle of ancient leaves, the slow rhythm of rainfall over limestone. Tonight, we'll follow those whispers back through time to when the Sphinx may not have been a mystery at all, but a message left by those who remembered the floods and the stars. So, close your eyes. Let the desert wind drift softly through your thoughts, and listen. The Guardian of Giza is about to tell its story again. When the first winds of evening sweep across Giza, they carry with them the soft hiss of time, the same wind that once brushed against the wet stone of the newborn Sphinx. For centuries, geologists accepted the same explanation. Wind and sand carved its surface, slowly eating away the limestone. But in the 1990s, a geologist named Dr. Robert Schoch stood before the Sphinx and saw something no one had dared to say aloud. The weathering on its body didn't speak the language of the desert. It whispered of rain. Deep vertical channels, smooth curves, the rounded texture of water erosion. These were signs of long, consistent rainfall, not of a dry wind. And in Egypt, rain like that hadn't fallen in more than 10,000 years. His findings challenged not just a date, but a worldview. If the Sphinx was shaped by water, then it had to exist during an age when Egypt was green, when the Sahara was not yet a desert, but a savanna, alive with rivers and grass. The thought was almost heretical to Egyptologists. Many dismissed him, others mocked the claim. But Schoch's argument was grounded in something harder than myth: geology. The layers of the limestone told their own story. The lower strata were softer, deeply eroded, while the upper ones remained sharp, as though the lower part had stood unprotected for millennia before the head was recarved. Could it be that the Sphinx we see today was remodeled, its head reshaped by later pharaohs from something far older? Perhaps the face once belonged not to Khafre, but to someone from an age lost to memory. Tonight, under the hum of the desert night, you can almost see it. The Sphinx not as a statue of a king, but as a relic from a forgotten civilization, weathered by the same rains that once nourished the land. The air feels older here, as if it remembers a time before the pyramids, before the word Egypt itself had meaning. The scent of limestone, the distant cry of the wind through the plateau, the hush of sand over stone. Everything seems to conspire to remind us that the earth remembers more than we do. Close your eyes and breathe. You are sitting beside a monument that has watched ice ages fade, oceans shift, and stars change their place in the sky. Whether it was 4,500 or 12,000 years ago, the Sphinx remains silent, patient, unblinking, as if guarding not only the tombs of kings, but the secrets of time itself. Beneath the Sphinx, the sand conceals more than just shadows. For decades, whispers have spoken of hidden chambers, sealed passages, and the Hall of Records, a mythical library said to contain the forgotten history of the world. The ancient Egyptians believed that beneath sacred ground lay gateways to other realms, where knowledge was stored not in scrolls, but in stone. In the late 20th century, seismic scans detected something unusual beneath the Sphinx's paws: cavities, symmetrical, too precise to be natural. The instruments didn't lie. They showed hollow spaces, deep and deliberate. Scientists debated endlessly. Were these tombs, natural fissures, or something far older,
perhaps even man-made vaults from a time when the Nile flowed higher and the air was still wet with rain. If the Sphinx truly dates back over 10,000 years, then those chambers might belong to an era when Egypt was reborn from the last ice age. During that distant epoch, rainfall sculpted the plateau, and the climate map of Africa looked nothing like today. The Sahara, now an ocean of dust, was once a lush land filled with lakes, hippos, and early humans who carved tools by the riverside. In that world, the Sphinx would not have looked out upon endless sand, but across green plains under silver clouds. And as the rains ceased and the winds rose, the people of that age might have sealed something beneath the stone, leaving behind a silent message for those who would come after, a warning or a remembrance. Some say those hidden rooms still hum faintly, resonating with frequencies that make compasses spin and machines fail. Others think the chambers are empty, filled only with the weight of human imagination. But as you listen to the wind moving across the plateau tonight, it's hard not to wonder, what if beneath the Sphinx lies the memory of a world that once drowned in rain and awoke in sand? What if time itself sleeps there, waiting to be rediscovered? For now, the Sphinx remains silent, half buried yet eternal, its eyes fixed on the sunrise as though remembering a dawn long past, a light that once revealed who built it and why. The desert wind sighs again, carrying the scent of stone and forgotten rain. The stars shimmer above, cold and patient. And as you drift toward sleep, imagine that the Guardian of Giza is still watching, not as a statue, but as a sentinel of memory, guarding the line between what we know and what we've yet to remember. But what lies beneath? For centuries, the Sphinx has been more than stone and silence. It has been a question carved in rock, a whisper from an older world, hinting that something still sleeps beneath its feet. Among those who listened to that whisper was an American mystic named Edgar Cayce. In the early 20th century, Cayce entered deep trances and claimed to access something he called the Akashic Records, a kind of universal memory where every event and thought from human history was stored. From that state, he made a bold prediction that beneath the Sphinx there existed a hidden chamber, a hall of records, containing the wisdom of a civilization that came before Egypt. He said it was built by the survivors of Atlantis, a place swallowed by the sea thousands of years before the pharaohs. They had come to Egypt, he said, to preserve their knowledge, crystal technology, star maps, and the memory of humanity's first dawn. It sounded like fantasy until science started to catch up with myth. Decades later, in the 1990s, researchers began to test Cayce's prophecy with tools he could never have imagined: seismic scanners and ground-penetrating radar. What they found made even skeptics pause. Beneath the Sphinx's right paw, the instruments detected a large rectangular void, perfectly shaped, perfectly aligned, a cavity unlike any natural formation. The data showed clear edges, a floor, and a depth of over 30 feet. To some, it was the proof they had been waiting for. The Hall of Records was real.
To others, it was merely an anomaly, a geological quirk exaggerated by imagination. But the coincidence was hard to ignore. Casey had died decades earlier, yet his description matched the radar images almost exactly. How could a man who never left America and who never saw Giza know about a hidden chamber beneath the Sphinx? Tonight, under the quiet breath of the desert wind, it's easy to let that mystery settle into your mind. The sand drifts slowly, like time itself covering secrets in thin golden layers. The stars above blink softly, their light older than every temple and tomb. And somewhere below, deep beneath the limestone pause, something waits, undisturbed, unrecorded, and possibly forbidden.
By the mid-1990s, whispers had turned into data. Seismic readings from the Giza plateau confirmed what the mystics had only imagined. Something hollow rested beneath the Sphinx. The results came from a joint project between American researchers and Egyptian authorities. When the early scans were published, they showed clear anomalies, symmetrical cavities deep beneath the forepaws, and another beneath the rear of the monument. These weren't random voids. They looked like chambers, their geometry too deliberate, their boundaries too smooth to be natural fractures. But with every new discovery came resistance. The man at the center of that resistance was Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's powerful director of antiquities, guardian of the country's archaeological treasures. To the media, he was a modern-day pharaoh of Egyptology, charismatic, confident, fiercely protective of Egypt's heritage. Yet behind that authority, some saw a gatekeeper. Hawass insisted that the radar readings were misunderstood, that the Sphinx had no hidden rooms. There is nothing under the Sphinx, he declared again and again, only rock. But the data said otherwise, and the researchers who gathered it, including Dr. Thomas Dobecki and John Anthony West, argued that their instruments did not lie. They showed echoes that matched the density of air-filled chambers. Hawass soon revoked their digging permits. Access was denied. The doors of the desert had closed again. To the outside world, it felt like a story was being buried, literally and politically. Why forbid a deeper exploration, especially when no one claimed ownership of the void? Some whispered of state secrets, others of ancient curses. But the truth, as always, lay somewhere between fear and pride. The Egyptian government had long been protective of Giza. Too many foreign archaeologists had come, dug, and left, taking relics and rewriting history in museums far away. To them, the Sphinx wasn't a mystery to solve, it was a monument to guard. Still, the forbidden question lingered like a mirage. If there was truly nothing beneath, why not prove it once and for all? The night air over Giza carries that question even now. It moves with the same rhythm as the desert wind, brushing over stone older than kings. You can almost hear it, the sigh of curiosity, the hum of secrecy, the breath
of a mystery that refuses to die. Some say that history is written by those who dare to dig, but in Egypt, even digging can be forbidden. After the controversy of the 1990s, the sands around the Sphinx grew quiet again. The permits were frozen, the teams disbanded. Officially, the matter was closed, but the mystery never was. Over the years, a few brave researchers kept asking questions. They compared the radar maps, analyzed the seismic data, and traced the old legends. Stories that reached back beyond pharaohs to the time of the first time, Zep Tepi, when gods were said to walk among men. In several ancient texts, there were cryptic references to underground houses of eternity, repositories of divine wisdom sealed beneath sacred temples. Some passages even described a chamber of light buried near the lion of the horizon, an ancient phrase eerily similar to the Sphinx's original Egyptian name, Horus in the horizon. Could the Hall of Records simply be a poetic echo of that ancient memory, or something much more literal, waiting to be found? The radar images, like faint X-rays of time, continued to show those symmetrical voids beneath the limestone. Even NASA satellites orbiting high above captured subtle density anomalies under the Giza plateau. Yet no one was allowed to dig. Zahi Hawass and his successors insisted the Sphinx was too fragile, the risks too high. "We will not damage history to chase a myth," they said. But myths have a strange persistence, especially when science begins to touch their edges. Independent teams, barred from Giza, began scanning nearby desert areas. Some found what appeared to be ancient tunnels, collapsed, buried, yet aligned with the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. Others noted that the placement of these monuments mirrors the belt stars of Orion, as if the entire plateau were a coded message written in stone and starlight. So why would Egypt's government forbid exploration? Perhaps it was national pride, a desire to keep Egypt's secrets under Egyptian control. Or perhaps the truth, if revealed, would rewrite too much. The age of the Sphinx, the origins of civilization, the identity of those who built it. For now, the Hall of Records remains both everywhere and nowhere, a symbol, a promise, a silence. And beneath the moonlight of Giza, as the night wind moves across the ancient stone, you can almost feel that silence pulse. Maybe there really is something beneath. Not gold, not treasure, but knowledge. A record of who we once were and who we might become again. The desert holds its breath. The stars lean closer. The Guardian waits. When Egypt rose from the sand, it was already old. Its temples, its gods, its symbols, they appeared fully formed, as if inherited, not invented. For centuries, historians believed civilization began there, around 3000 BC, when the first pharaohs unified the Nile. But new evidence, quietly unearthed over the past decades, tells a different story. It whispers of an older world, one that flourished long before the dynasties, long before the desert swallowed the green. Beneath the familiar glory of Egypt lies something even more ancient and forgotten. This idea that Egypt may have inherited the ruins of an earlier civilization has long haunted the edges of archaeology. Among those who brought it back into the light is British author and researcher Graham Hancock. His question is simple yet heretical. What if history, as we know it, is missing a chapter? Hancock argues that humanity once reached a level of sophistication thousands of years before the official timeline, a golden age erased by cataclysm. The event that ended it, he says, was the Younger Dryas, a sudden global disaster about 12,800 years ago. In a span of days or months, the Earth's climate shifted violently. Ice sheets melted, oceans rose, temperatures plunged, and the civilizations that might have existed, coastal, advanced, connected, were wiped away like words in wet sand. The survivors, scattered across the globe, carried fragments of knowledge, astronomy, geometry, myth. Over generations, those fragments became legends, the gods of Egypt, the builders of the Sphinx, the architects of the stars. It is a thought both humbling and terrifying that what we call the dawn of civilization might in truth be its rebirth. As you listen to the wind over Giza tonight, imagine that. A world ending, floods roaring, stars hidden by ash, humans staring at the last fires of a dying age. And then silence. Centuries later, when the world calmed, they built again, perhaps here along the Nile, preserving in stone what once was written in memory. The Sphinx may not be the first monument of Egypt, but the last monument of something else. Its face, worn by time, might not only represent a king, but a survivor. 12,800 years ago, something unimaginable happened. The world, which had been slowly thawing from the last ice age, was struck by chaos. Across continents, temperatures plunged again. Glaciers surged, and entire ecosystems collapsed. Scientists call this sudden reversal the Younger Dryas event. It lasted only a blink in geological time, but it left scars that the Earth still remembers. To mainstream science, the cause remains uncertain. Perhaps a comet impact, perhaps a chain of volcanic eruptions, perhaps something even stranger. But for Graham Hancock and others who seek the deeper rhythm of history, the Younger Dryas was more than a climate shift. It was a reset, a line drawn through human memory. In Hancock's vision, an advanced global culture once thrived before that cataclysm. A seafaring, star-watching civilization that mapped the heavens, understood the cycles of Earth, and passed on its wisdom after the fall. When the ice melted and the seas rose, Their cities vanished beneath the waves. What survived were myths, stories of floods, gods descending from the sky, and golden ages lost. We call them myths today, but what if they were memories? In the mountains of Turkey, a site called Göbekli Tepe adds weight to this question. Discovered in the 1990s, it is a temple complex over 11,000 years old. Older than Stonehenge, older than the pyramids. Its stone pillars are carved with lions, vultures, scorpions, and celestial patterns. Yet it appeared suddenly, without any evolutionary buildup, as if a people who had already mastered architecture and astronomy simply emerged from nowhere. For Hancock, Göbekli Tepe is the smoking gun, the first fingerprint of that lost civilization. It bridges two worlds, the prehistoric and the historical, the mythic and the measurable. When you stand before those stones, you sense something familiar, a geometry that echoes the temples of Egypt, the alignment that mirrors the stars. Could the same survivors who built Göbekli Tepe have passed their knowledge to the Nile Valley? Could the Sphinx itself be a continuation of that forgotten story? These questions drift through time like dust in desert light. They do not demand answers. They simply remind us that history, like the night sky, is full of constellations we have not yet connected. Tonight, as you breathe softly and the ambient hum fades, imagine those ancient builders, the ones who looked at the stars not for wonder, but for remembrance. They carved their knowledge into stone, not to be worshipped, but to be rediscovered. And somewhere, beneath the sands of Egypt, their message still sleeps. Some say the stars remember what the earth forgets. In the cold clarity of night, the three stars of Orion's belt gleam, perfectly spaced, eternal, a map drawn not by human hands, but by time itself. To most, they are just distant lights, but to the ancient builders of Giza, they were coordinates, and perhaps a promise. The three great pyramids align almost exactly with those stars, tilted and offset in the same pattern. To Graham Hancock and the astronomers who followed his path, this is no coincidence. They believe the pyramids were designed to mirror the heavens as they appeared not in 2500 BC, but in 10,500 BC, at the end of the last ice age, during the very moment humanity may have been reborn from the ashes of the younger Dryas. If true, then Giza is not a beginning, but a memory. A message carved in stone by those who refused to let their world be forgotten. The shafts within the Great Pyramid point precisely to Orion and Sirius, the same constellations worshipped across civilizations oceans apart. In that pattern, Earth below, stars above, some see evidence of a shared inheritance, fragments of knowledge preserved through flood and fire. It's as if the survivors of the lost civilization encoded their story in geometry and light, trusting that someday someone would look up and understand. The more we learn, the humbling the picture becomes. Egypt's perfection did not arise in isolation. It may have been part of something greater, a web of ancient wisdom stretching from Anatolia to the Andes, from Göbekli Tepe to Giza, all whispering the same message: remember who you were, and perhaps who you might become again. When you close your eyes tonight, imagine standing on that plateau beneath the stars. The wind is cool, the sand whispers, the pyramids rise like mountains of memory, their edges glowing faintly under the moon. You realize that history isn't linear. It breathes, it collapses, it begins again. Maybe we are not the first to reach for the stars. Maybe we are simply remembering how.
The Sphinx has been called many things: a riddle, a guardian, a monument to kings. But to geologists, it is also a textbook written in stone. Every groove, every scar on its weathered body tells a story about time, wind, and something far older: water. For most of the 20th century, Egyptologists agreed on one thing: that the Sphinx was carved around 2500 BC, during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre. The logic seemed simple. The face resembled his statues. His pyramid stood nearby. This style fit the era. But stone has a memory that art cannot rewrite. When sunlight fades and the desert cools, you can almost feel that memory. The surface of the Sphinx rippled, rounded, shaped not by dry wind, but by centuries of rain. In the early 1990s, a quiet revolution began. A geologist named Dr. Robert Schoch from Boston University stood before the Sphinx not as an archaeologist, but as a reader of rocks. What he saw defied every textbook. The weathering patterns along the Sphinx's enclosure, deep vertical channels, rounded profiles, the soft contouring of limestone did not match the horizontal scouring made by sand and wind. Instead, they resembled the erosion seen on cliffs long exposed to heavy rainfall. The deeper he looked, the older it seemed. He compared the Sphinx's trench with the nearby temples and pyramid walls. The contrast was undeniable. The stone of Khafre's pyramid was crisp, its edges sharp, still bearing the scars of tools. The Sphinx's body, by contrast, looked ancient, melted, softened by thousands of years of weather it should never have seen. That single observation cracked open a possibility that shook Egyptology, that the Sphinx might predate Egypt itself. Because for rain to carve stone like that, the Giza Plateau would have needed a climate very different from today. A green, rainy world that ended more than 9,000 years before the first pharaoh. The implications were enormous. If Schock was right, then the Sphinx was not a monument from the dawn of Egypt, but from the twilight of a forgotten civilization. The idea was met with disbelief, even outrage. Yet, as Schock ran more tests, the rock spoke louder. The patterns of dissolution, the depth of erosion channels, even the way minerals oxidized on the surface, all pointed to prolonged exposure to water, not wind. And in a land where rain is almost a myth, that made the Sphinx a paradox. Tonight, as the wind glides through the plateau, think of it, a monument carved by hands we cannot name, weathered by storms we cannot remember, and standing still in a desert that was once alive with rain. To understand the Sphinx, we must first understand what shaped it, not only the hands that carved it, but the forces that wore it down. For centuries, the desert has been a sculptor. Wind sweeps across Giza, carrying sand that cuts through limestone like glass against skin. Over time, it etches sharp lines, horizontal grooves, and flat faces. This is the language of wind erosion, linear, precise, and dry. But the Sphinx does not speak that language. The grooves carved into its enclosure are rounded, soft, vertical, the signature of flowing water. It's as if rain once danced down these walls, caressing the stone instead of scraping it. The difference is not poetic, it's measurable. In laboratory models, wind abrasion leaves clean, shallow striations, while rainfall erosion creates deep, uneven channels caused by water runoff. Dr. Robert Schoch compared these patterns to cliffs along the Red Sea and limestone outcrops in Europe. The similarities were unmistakable. Only prolonged rainfall could produce such depth and curvature. Yet the question remained, when could Egypt have seen such rain? To answer that, we look not to temples, but to climate. Thousands of years before the pharaohs, the Sahara was alive. Satellite imagery and core samples from ancient lakes reveal a green past. Rivers, savannas, and rainfall far heavier than today. Between 10,000 and 6,000 BC, Africa experienced what scientists call the African humid period, a time when monsoon rains swept deep into the desert, painting it with grass and water. Animals migrated, people settled, and the Giza Plateau, now parched and golden, might have been lush and blue. If the Sphinx was already standing then, it would have faced not sandstorms, but rainstorms. That simple idea, water, not wind, carried enormous weight. It implied that whoever carved the Sphinx had lived through that wetter world thousands of years before the pharaohs. But such a claim didn't fit the accepted story. Egyptology, built on dynasties and inscriptions, resisted. The textbooks couldn't bend without breaking. The backlash was immediate. Scholars accused Shach of misunderstanding rock chemistry, of mistaking salt crystallization for rain. Debates raged in journals and conferences, yet none could reproduce the same vertical erosion under dry conditions. The evidence refused to disappear. Still, mainstream archaeology stood its ground, not because the rock was wrong, but because history wasn't ready. Tonight, as you imagine the Sphinx under clouds instead of stars, you might sense what Shach saw, that behind every accepted truth lies a silence, the pause before a paradigm shifts.
Stone does not lie. Even when history is rewritten, the rock beneath our feet remembers. When Dr. Shach continued his studies through the 1990s, he drilled small samples from the Sphinx enclosure and analyzed their composition. The results were striking. The upper layers showed less weathering, protected for millennia by restoration and drifting sand. But the lower strata, exposed and soft, bore deep chemical scars of water dissolution. The minerals within had leached and recrystallized in ways seen only in environments once soaked by rain. He measured the ratio of calcite to clay, the porosity of the stone, and even microscopic erosion fronts, all consistent with long-term water exposure. In short, the Sphinx had been rained on, not for decades, but for centuries. For that to be possible, Egypt must once have had a very different sky. And that, according to climatologists, points back not thousands, but tens of thousands of years, to the last time northern Africa was wet enough for storms of that scale. The evidence aligned with geological data, showing that the Sahara turned green roughly 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, precisely the same period Hancock associated with the end of the Younger Dryas. The implications intertwined. Climate, catastrophe, and civilization might be chapters of the same story. If the Sphinx truly predates the dynasties, then Egypt's beginning may actually be humanity's memory of recovery after the Great Flood. Yet academia remained divided. Some argued that the patterns could have been caused by groundwater rising and evaporating, a slow salt-based erosion. Others dismissed Shach's dating entirely, saying there was no cultural context for such an early monument. But that was precisely the point. If it came from a forgotten civilization, how could there be context left to find? Shach's findings were never disproven, only ignored. Even today, the official line in textbooks stays unchanged, 2500 BC. But the stone says otherwise. Beneath every grain of sand, beneath every denial, lies the patient truth of geology. As night falls over Giza, the air cools and the limestone breathes. You can almost hear it, a faint crackle, a sigh, as if the monument itself were whispering, I am older than they remember. And perhaps that's the lesson hidden within the science, that time does not move forward, but in circles. Civilizations rise, fall, and return, just as rain once came to the desert and may one day return again.
Beneath the golden silence of Giza, the earth hides a second world, one not built for the living, but for memory. For centuries, whispers have spoken of tunnels that wind beneath the plateau, stretching from the Great Pyramid to the paws of the Sphinx, a labyrinth that breathes with the weight of forgotten time. Ancient texts hinted at it. Greek historians wrote of passages under the sands where priests moved unseen, carrying the secrets of the gods. The Arab chroniclers who visited the site 1,000 years ago described wells descending into darkness, chambers carved with symbols of stars and serpents. Even the Book of the Dead speaks of the hidden ways of the Duat, the underworld that mirrored the surface, a sacred reflection of life above. Whether myth or memory, the idea never died. The locals of Giza still tell of hollow sounds beneath their feet, of camels that refuse to walk near certain spots as if they sensed a void below. But it wasn't until the modern age, with instruments instead of legends, that science began to listen. Seismic surveys in the late 20th century revealed anomalies under the plateau, strange echoes that bounced back slower than solid rock, suggesting cavities, corridors, and possibly entire chambers. The pattern wasn't random. The reflections formed straight lines, intersecting in right angles, as if drawn by geometry, not geology. And some of these anomalies ran parallel to the Sphinx's enclosure, leading many to wonder, were these natural fissures or remnants of an ancient system of tunnels connecting the monuments? The imagination stretches easily in this desert, but the data is real. In one scan, a hollow space was found directly beneath the causeway linking the Pyramid of Khafre to the Sphinx. In another, voids appeared beneath the bedrock itself, symmetrical, deliberate. Even skeptics admitted, something is there. Tonight, imagine walking through that silence. The torches flicker, the air is cool, still, untouched by time. Sand crunches softly beneath your steps. The ceiling glistens with salt crystals, reflecting faint light like distant stars. You can almost hear a low hum, the echo of water, or the slow heartbeat of the earth. Down there, the noise of the world disappears. What remains is the sound of history breathing, steady, deep, and patient.
In the heat of modern Egypt, beneath the weight of its tourism and traffic, a quieter expedition was unfolding. It began not with shovels, but with sensors, delicate instruments laid across the plateau like a web, designed to listen to the earth. In the late 1980s and 1990s, teams from Japan, the United States, and Egypt conducted seismic tomography, a method that uses sound waves to map what lies below. When the first images emerged, They were like an X-ray of the ancient ground, dense layers, hollow pockets, and beneath them something stranger, perfectly linear anomalies running east to west, connecting the Sphinx's enclosure toward the Great Pyramid. The data hinted at a hidden geometry, an order invisible from above. Beneath the paws of the Sphinx, one cavity stood out, large, rectangular, too symmetrical for chance. Another anomaly appeared beneath the causeway leading to the Pyramid of Khafre, echoing the alignment of the monuments above. The patterns seemed deliberate, like corridors buried in stone. Yet official explanations came swiftly: natural fissures, ancient river channels, voids caused by groundwater. But one variable made those dismissals harder to accept: the Nile itself. For thousands of years, the river has moved, meandering across the floodplain, its underground veins pushing water through hidden aquifers. Some scientists believe the Sphinx was carved deliberately at the edge of an ancient water table, where underground springs once rose and fell. Could the builders have known this, positioning their monuments above the Earth's hidden currents, aligning temples and tombs not just with stars, but with water? Modern measurements show that many of the anomalies beneath Giza rest precisely along the old water channels of the Nile, dry now, but still resonant. Water in ancient Egypt was not just life, it was rebirth, passage, and reflection. The priests of old believed the underworld mirrored the heavens, and between them ran the sacred river that connected all souls. Perhaps the tunnels beneath Giza were not tombs at all, but conduits, symbolic pathways for the spirit, tracing the invisible flow between earth and eternity. Imagine descending into that subterranean world. The walls glisten with mineral sheen. Drops of moisture slide down the limestone, leaving trails like veins of light. The air hums faintly, cool, heavy, ancient. Above you, the desert blazes with heat, but below, everything slows. It feels as if time itself is breathing through the cracks, steady, patient, eternal. Every legend has a doorway. In Giza, that doorway may lie not beneath the Sphinx, but deeper still, in a place the locals call the Osiris shaft. Hidden between the Pyramid of Khafre and the Great Sphinx, the entrance was rediscovered in the late 1990s after being sealed for centuries. To reach it, archaeologists had to descend through a narrow vertical shaft lit only by electric lamps and the trembling glow of hope. At 20 meters down, they reached the first chamber, a simple pit half filled with stagnant water. Below it, another shaft led deeper, carved clean through bedrock, as if a giant drill had passed thousands of years ago. Then the third level. Here, the air grew colder, older. The chamber opened like a throat in the earth, revealing stone sarcophagi placed in niches around a central pool. The water was dark, still, mirror-like. Some thought it was symbolic, the realm of Osiris, god of rebirth, whose kingdom lay beneath the waters of the underworld. Others believed it might once have been part of a larger hydraulic system, a connection between the underground chambers and the shifting veins of the Nile. Whatever its purpose, one thing was clear. This was not a tomb for a single man, but a monument for something vast, a memory, a ritual, perhaps even a map of the unseen. Yet not far from that discovery, access began to tighten. Permits became rare. Excavation zones were fenced off. Official statements claimed safety concerns, but whispers told another story. That radar scans had revealed even deeper anomalies stretching beneath the plateau. Chambers too large, too geometrically perfect to be dismissed as nature. Rumors spoke of hidden entrances sealed by limestone blocks, of tunnels leading toward the Pyramid of Menkaure, of an entire network buried in silence. No proof was ever released to the public, but for those who stood on the plateau at night, feeling the vibration underfoot, it was enough. Something ancient still sleeps there, beneath the sand, beneath the stories, beneath the reach of light. Perhaps not a city of stone, but a city of echoes. Imagine standing there, the wind brushing against your skin, the stars above, the same ones that guided the builders thousands of years ago. Beneath your feet, a labyrinth hums, patient, eternal, waiting. The desert exhales, and for a moment, it feels as if the whole plateau is breathing with you.
The desert remembers. Then what of the human mind? Empires rise, languages fade, and monuments crumble. Yet the hunger for knowledge, that fragile spark of awareness, endures. Somewhere between sand and silence lies the story of how humanity tried to keep its wisdom alive. Long before digital archives and satellites, the world's greatest library stood on the edge of the Mediterranean, the Library of Alexandria. It was said to contain more than 500,000 scrolls, treatises on mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and the nature of the divine. Within its marble halls, the words of the ancients were not just read, they were lived. Scholars from Greece, Egypt, India, and Babylon gathered under one roof, sharing the language of curiosity. It was here that geometry met philosophy, that stars became equations, and that myth turned to method. And then
fire. No one truly knows how many times Alexandria burned, perhaps once, perhaps 3 times, but what perished was more than paper. It was memory itself. When the flames rose, the night sky glowed red, as if knowledge had a heartbeat that refused to die quietly. The scrolls turned to ash, but ideas, like seeds, drifted away with the smoke. Some carried east, others hidden west, preserved by hands that refused to forget. Some say that before the flames reached the inner chambers, select scholars escaped with the most sacred writings, works of philosophy and alchemy, maps of stars, diagrams of proportion and harmony. These texts were said to have been copied and sealed away in hidden sanctuaries, underground vaults, stone temples, or even encoded within architecture itself. The idea seems romantic, almost mythical, but perhaps that is the point. The ancients did not separate science from spirit, nor matter from meaning. To them, knowledge was sacred, a living force to be preserved not only in words, but in form. And so, perhaps, they turned to stone. The Sphinx, the pyramids, the precise alignments that mirror Orion. Maybe they were not only monuments, but messages, carved to outlast the frailty of language. In a way, they became a library of geometry, an eternal book written in shadow and light. Tonight, as you drift into quiet thought, imagine standing where the library once stood, the sea whispering outside, the air scented with ink and parchment. The world is silent now, but somewhere beneath the ruins, the pulse of wisdom still hums. Knowledge, after all, was never truly lost, only sleeping. When knowledge is in danger, humanity hides it, sometimes in books, sometimes in symbols, and sometimes in time itself. After the fall of Alexandria, a strange idea began to circulate among scholars of the Mediterranean world, that the ancients, foreseeing destruction, had hidden fragments of their wisdom within monuments designed to outlast history. They called it the time capsule theory. Not a literal box of scrolls, but a message embedded in the language of proportion, alignment, and resonance. A code that could only be read by those who understood both science and spirit. If you think of the Sphinx not as a statue, but as a sentence, carved in stone, encrypted in silence, then perhaps its meaning has simply been waiting for the right mind to remember how to read. This idea is echoed in the Hermetic texts, writings attributed to the mysterious sage Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great Hermes, a being said to unite the wisdom of Egypt's Thoth and the philosophy of Greece. In those texts, the corpus hermeticum, knowledge is described not as something owned, but as something entrusted. As above, so below, it says, the reflection of heaven within man and of man within the cosmos.
The Hermetic philosophers believed that true wisdom could never be destroyed, only veiled, hidden until humanity was ready to see again. Some thought Thoth himself, the ibis-headed god of writing and time, had sealed his teachings in hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx, the fabled Hall of Records, said to hold the memory of an age before the flood. Whether myth or metaphor, the concept is profound, that the universe preserves its own memory, and that monuments like the Sphinx are simply its external organs, stone neurons in the mind of eternity. The Hermetic schools that survived the fires of history carried this idea forward. In secret chambers, by candlelight, they copied and recopied the texts, the Emerald Tablet, the Asclepius, and the Divine Pymander, each line a meditation on balance, transformation, and the unity of opposites. They taught that to preserve knowledge is to embody it, that what is written on parchment may vanish, but what is carved into the soul endures. Perhaps that's why the ancients built in harmony with the stars, because they believed alignment itself was a language. The Sphinx facing east, greeting the rising sun of Leo, the pyramids pointing to Orion. All these were not only astronomical markers, but spiritual coordinates, pointing humanity back toward the same question: what does it mean to remember? Tonight, as the world quiets around you, imagine these words not as history, but as heartbeat, the steady pulse of a civilization that refused to forget.
To understand how the ancients preserved knowledge, we must first understand how they saw it. To them, wisdom was not a collection of words. It was a pattern, a resonance woven into the structure of reality itself. They believed that the divine expressed itself through geometry, that every line, angle, and proportion was a syllable in the language of the cosmos. This was sacred geometry, the bridge between form and spirit. When the Egyptians built the Sphinx, they did not only sculpt a monument, they inscribed a formula. Its proportions, from the base to the crown, from the eyes to the horizon, align with ratios found across nature: the curve of shells, the spiral of galaxies, the symmetry of leaves. To them, beauty was not decoration, it was truth made visible. Each stone placement, each angle was an act of remembrance, an attempt to mirror the harmony of creation. The same philosophy guided the builders of the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, off by less than 1/15 of a degree, an accuracy impossible without understanding both astronomy and geometry. The slope of its sides reflects the golden ratio, the same constant found in the proportions of the human body, the orbits of planets, and the unfolding of flowers. This was not coincidence, it was intention. They were embedding universal truths into matter, creating structures that would outlast floods, language, even civilizations. Each monument was, in essence, a memory crystal, storing frequencies of understanding, waiting for future generations to decode. The Hermetic maxim,
That which is above is like that which is below takes on new meaning here. The alignment between earth and sky, between Sphinx and stars, is not symbolic, but literal. The ancients believed that by building in harmony with the heavens, they could preserve the mental order of the cosmos within the physical world. In this way, architecture became not art, but meditation, a way to think in stone, to pray in geometry. To walk among these monuments is to walk inside an equation of eternity. And perhaps this was their greatest gift to us. While scrolls can burn and languages vanish, proportions endure. The same golden ratio that lived within the pyramids lives within your heartbeat, your breath, your reflection in the mirror. The ancients did not build to impress the gods. They built to remind humanity that the divine already lives within. So tonight, as your eyes grow heavy, imagine yourself lying beneath the same sky the Sphinx still watches. The stars shimmer softly. The air is warm and ancient. You realize that knowledge was never lost. It was simply translated into stone.
In every age, truth wears a veil, not always to deceive, but sometimes to protect. The sands of Egypt have always hidden secrets, but in the modern world, some believe those secrets are hidden not by time, but by choice. For decades, whispers have followed the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities, the authority that decides who may dig, who may study, and more importantly, who may speak. Beneath the surface of official reports and glossy documentaries lies a quieter tension between the guardians of heritage and those who claim they are guarding it too tightly. Researchers who visit Giza quickly learn that access is not a right, but a privilege. Every permit, every photograph, every drill into the ground requires approval. On paper, it is protection, a way to prevent looting, damage, or false claims. But to some archaeologists, it feels like a wall higher than any pyramid. There are stories of scientists who came to study seismic anomalies beneath the Sphinx, only to have their permits revoked at the last moment. Others were told that equipment failures prevented further testing, or that security concerns made continued work impossible. In a land where every stone could rewrite history, control over the narrative becomes as powerful as control over the site itself. The case of Dr. Robert Schoch is often cited. After presenting his geological evidence that the Sphinx might be thousands of years older than convention suggests, his access was quietly limited. The same happened to other independent researchers who proposed unconventional theories: Graham Hancock, John Anthony West, and several local scholars who questioned the dynastic timeline. Official statements dismissed their findings as pseudoscience. Yet the irony, as many pointed out, was that those claims could only be disproven by further excavation, the very thing that was no longer allowed. And so a strange silence settled over the plateau. Tourists still walked its sands, cameras still clicked, but the deeper questions were left unanswered, suspended between curiosity and control. Some called it conspiracy, others called it caution. Both may be true.
Egypt's antiquities are not just relics, they are lifeblood. Millions depend on them for livelihood, pride, and national identity. A single revelation, a date too old, a chamber too deep, could shift the world's narrative and threaten that fragile balance. But what if protection becomes preservation of ignorance? What if the greatest secret is not buried beneath the sand, but within bureaucracy? The thought lingers, soft but persistent, like wind whispering through stone. And yet, perhaps they are right to be careful. Perhaps some doors are meant to open slowly, one grain of sand at a time.
Every discovery tells two stories: what is found and what is allowed to be told. In Egypt, this divide has grown sharper with every passing decade. While the official narrative insists that all findings are guided by science and preservation, independent researchers often describe another layer, one of politics, pride, and protection. Some say the tension began not with arrogance, but with fear. Fear that a single discovery could unravel the carefully woven identity of a nation. Throughout the 1990s, rumors spread of new underground anomalies near the Great Pyramid, cavities detected by Japanese seismic teams, radar surveys showing perfect geometric voids beneath the Sphinx Causeway. Yet most of those results never saw peer-reviewed publication. Files were sealed, images disappeared. The ministry declared the data inconclusive and not of archaeological value. To the public, the mystery was silenced before it even began. A few years later, a small international team claimed to have found an entrance beneath the left paw of the Sphinx, a narrow shaft leading downward. Their report was brief, almost hesitant. Before they could explore further, permission was revoked. Officially, it was due to structural instability. Unofficially, they were told to leave the country. Similar patterns repeated again and again. Discoveries that aligned with Egypt's accepted timeline were fast-tracked for publicity. But those that hinted at greater age or unknown chambers seemed to vanish into bureaucracy. Within academia, the split widened. Some scholars demanded transparency, open archives, shared data, collaboration. Others, especially Egyptian officials, argued that such openness could lead to chaos, a flood of pseudo-historians and sensationalists undermining serious work. To them, restriction was not suppression, but protection. And perhaps they were right, at least partly. The line between curiosity and exploitation has always been thin. Yet even among the cautious, whispers persisted. If there truly is nothing to hide, why are so many doors kept locked? The deeper one digs into these controversies, the more human they seem. Pride, politics, economics. The Great Pyramids bring Egypt billions in tourism every year, a cornerstone of the nation's economy and identity. To question their age, their origin, or their symbolism is to shake the very foundation of modern Egypt's story. Imagine the risk. If a chamber were found beneath the Sphinx dating to 10,000 years earlier,
It could rewrite not only textbooks, but ownership, of heritage, of history, of glory. And so, between science and sovereignty, truth often finds itself suspended, not lost, but paused, waiting for a time when questions can be asked without fear of what the answers might mean.
Truth, like sand, shifts depending on where you stand. From one angle, the guardians of Egypt's antiquities are not villains, but custodians, men and women burdened with the weight of eternity. To them, every stone is fragile, every rumor dangerous. They carry the responsibility of protecting not only monuments, but national identity itself. Egypt's past is not just history, it is currency, diplomacy, pride. To alter that past, even with good intentions, could risk unraveling the story that binds a nation together. And so, perhaps caution is not suppression, but survival. On the other side stand the seekers, the geologists, the historians, the dreamers who stare into the cracks of accepted history and ask, what if? They believe that truth should not fear light, that questions are the very tools by which knowledge evolves. To them, restriction feels like betrayal, a refusal to let humanity see its own reflection. They argue that science, by nature, must remain open, for even the oldest stone might still whisper new answers. And maybe between these two worlds, the protectors and the challengers, lies a balance neither side can fully see. History, after all, is not a fixed line. It is a dialogue between the known and the unknown, between preservation and discovery. One side builds walls to keep meaning safe, the other breaks them to let meaning grow. Both forget that truth does not belong to either. It belongs to time. And time, patient as ever, reveals everything when the world is ready to listen. In the end, perhaps there is no grand conspiracy, only the endless human dance between control and curiosity. The sands of Giza have always taught the same lesson, that silence is not emptiness, but potential. That sometimes to protect something sacred, we must first let it sleep. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine standing on that plateau. The night air is still. The stars shimmer above the ancient stone. You feel the ground beneath you, steady, quiet, alive. Somewhere below, secrets wait, not as defiance, but as promise. In the hush of the desert, you realize that maybe truth, like the Sphinx, is not hiding from us. It is watching, waiting, and wondering if we are ready. For centuries, we have walked upon the surface of the earth, believing we understood our place in time. But every stone, every fossil, every grain of sand seems to whisper the same quiet rebellion, that the story of humanity may be far older, far more intricate than we dare to admit. The Sphinx, silent beneath its eternal sky,
might not simply be a monument of kings, but a remnant of a forgotten age. If the geological evidence is true, if the Sphinx truly bears the scars of ancient rainfall from over 12,000 years ago, then it stands as proof that civilization did not begin in Egypt, but survived there. That flips our entire understanding of history. Humanity, once thought to rise from nothing in 3000 BC, may instead be a species with amnesia, rebuilding itself after a forgotten cataclysm. Scientists like Graham Hancock call this the Great Rewind, the idea that the Earth has undergone cycles of creation and collapse, eras where advanced knowledge existed and was lost again to disaster. The Younger Dryas event, nearly 12,800 years ago, may have been one such turning point, when global temperatures shifted violently, ice melted, seas rose, and ancient cities drowned beneath the waves. If the Sphinx predates that time, then it was carved not by the descendants of hunters, but by the survivors of gods. Think of what that means. It suggests that before the pyramids, before Mesopotamia, before recorded time itself, there were people, thinkers, builders, astronomers, who already understood geometry, engineering, and the movement of the stars. Their monuments may not have been built to rule, but to remember, to encode the sky, to leave a warning carved in stone that everything rises and everything falls. The ancient Egyptians called time itself Zep-Tepi, the first time, the golden dawn when gods walked among men. Perhaps it wasn't myth, but memory, a faded echo of an age long buried. Maybe the Sphinx isn't just the Guardian of Giza. Maybe it guards the truth that we once knew more than we know now. So tonight, as the desert wind breathes softly through the ancient plateau, let your thoughts drift to that possibility that beneath all our progress, there lies a circle turning endlessly through ages of light and forgetting.
The question that follows is as vast as the desert itself. If the Sphinx is older, far older than history admits, then who built it and how? The mainstream answer feels fragile when measured against the scale of the stone. The Sphinx is carved from a single block of limestone weighing over 200 tons. Its precision, its symmetry, the way its body aligns with the rising sun of the spring equinox, all suggest a hand guided by knowledge both mathematical and celestial. Modern tools struggle to replicate such exactness. Even with today's laser technology, matching the alignment of the Sphinx's gaze to the astronomical horizon would demand a precision error of less than 1/50th of a degree. Yet someone, thousands of years ago, achieved it without steel, without electricity, without computers, or perhaps without needing them. The ancient builders may have held a kind of wisdom we no longer measure in machines, but in meaning, a harmony between earth and sky, geometry and soul. Some researchers call this the signature of an advanced, forgotten culture, a people who understood vibration, sound, and the resonance of stone. In their world, building wasn't just construction, it was communication. They shaped monuments not to impress, but to remember, encoding frequencies, proportions, and stellar alignments into rock, hoping that when the next civilization awoke, it would recognize the message. And maybe we are that civilization, standing at the edge of rediscovery, half awake, half dreaming, brushing the dust off our own past. As satellite imaging and ground-penetrating radar evolve, the desert begins to reveal its quiet veins. Beneath Giza, beneath the sands of Saqqara, even beneath the dried beds of the Nile, faint traces of tunnels, chambers, and grid-like structures have begun to appear. Each anomaly feels like a heartbeat under stone, waiting for the courage of a future archaeologist to listen. But progress is slow. Political boundaries, funding limitations, and the delicate ethics of excavation keep much of Egypt's underworld untouched. Yet that restraint, too, has its beauty. It reminds us that history is not a race to expose, but a rhythm to be understood. For every door left unopened, there is time, and time has always been the greatest archaeologist of all. When we speak of rewriting history, it's not rebellion, it's remembrance. The Sphinx does not demand that we abandon what we know, only that we look deeper into what we have forgotten. Each stone, each alignment, each mystery is a fragment of a larger truth, a truth that stretches beyond dynasties, beyond religions, beyond even language itself. If the Sphinx truly predates recorded time, then humanity is older, wiser, and more resilient than our textbooks suggest. We were never a species that began from darkness, but one that rose again from the ashes of memory. Every civilization, from the Indus to the Maya, from Göbekli Tepe to Egypt, carries traces of the same cosmic handwriting: reverence for the stars, harmony with geometry, an understanding that life and the universe move in repeating patterns. What one culture forgets, another rediscovers. History doesn't move in lines, it breathes in circles. Even now, beneath the deserts and oceans, unexcavated chambers may wait, libraries of stone, vaults of symbols, archives of sound and resonance. Perhaps they do not hide treasures, but truths. That knowledge is never lost, only buried, waiting for consciousness to rise again. One day, when the right hands and the right hearts are ready, those doors will open, not as revelations, but as reunions. To rewrite history is to rewrite ourselves. It's to realize that our story is not about power, but remembrance, not about progress, but understanding. Maybe the ancients didn't build to reach the heavens,
but to remind us that we were never apart from them. And so, as the night deepens and the stars settle above the plateau, imagine this: the Sphinx, half lion, half human, neither beast nor god, simply waiting, patient, timeless, unblinking, watching our world rediscover what it once knew. You can almost hear it breathe, beneath layers of sand and centuries, whispering in a language older than words. Remember. Let your mind drift there now, to that stillness, to that place between dream and knowing. The desert wind softens, the moon traces the curve of the Sphinx's face, and somewhere in the hush of eternity, a truth sleeps, ancient, gentle, waiting to be found. Perhaps the answer still waits beneath the desert sand,